good afternoon, YTPC. It's a sweltering hot afternoon here in Switzerland. It's partly overcast, but it's very humid. It's like a Turkish bath, really. Well, today I would like to give a video reply to George 416 Piper. Jorge, I think, is a better pronunciation of that, 416 Piper. But do let me know. And in his giveaway video, he basically said, tell me something about Portugal, you know, something Portuguese that you like. Well, there's so much I could give you. I could do an hour video on that, no problem, because I like Portugal very much, and I've been there a good many times on business, but also on holiday to Porto and Lisbon. And when I was in the United States, we used to go down to Newark. We had a very large community, Portuguese community, and all the best fish restaurants were there, especially if you like lobster. So I was many times in those restaurants, and it was just fantastic. Well, of course, there's an enormous amount of history that we could reach into here. All of the great names of the past in exploration, like Ferdinand Magellan, for example, or Vasco da Gama. These great sailors and explorers who mapped out much of the world. Jose Malua, there's a whole list of them, of course, and not just, of course, in exploration. If we take more recent times, look at football with Cristiano Ronaldo, and of course in my time as a kid, the great legendary Eusebio, who was just a marvellous player to watch. So there's all of those things which are clear and obvious, and of course to someone who was raised in Britain like me and loves port wine, for example, all of the lovely wines in Portugal, and the port wine especially. I'm just going to move this music a bit further away because it gets loud in certain parts. Actually, this is a Portuguese composer of classical music, Viana da Mota, and this piece was composed in 1894. A very delightful piece it is. Well, I would like to show you some examples of those lovely Portuguese wines and port wine. Hold on a second. But before I introduce my friends here, of course, what I should have done earlier is housekeeping. I'm actually smoking a nice Stanwell pipe. This is in fact a Christmas model from 2013, which I found on special offer, and lovely silver band here, and a beautiful classic Stanwell shape and very, very excellent grain. Marvellous pipe. In honour of the occasion, George, I've got this lovely stag tamper, because when I think of Portugal, I think of great food, lots of meat. I like meat, and you know, hunting it. And today's lighter is this little cute Japanese Supreme lighter from the early 60s. A fuel lighter, shown it once or twice before. Just so cute. My wife starts to like this, so I probably won't see it for much longer. And thanks to many YouTube friends who have suggested this, and including the Great Onion, Wilkie 71st Street, the Sub GAW 71st Street. Just came today, jarred it up, left myself 2 or 3 bowls to try out, and first impression is you're right, Onion. It's extraordinarily good. There are just some tobaccos you take 3 puffs and you know you're going to love it. It's one of them. Worthy of a deep analysis review, so I won't talk too much about this. I actually got some more tobacco today. It's, somebody said in the comments, well, it's raining tobacco on you, isn't it? All these things I ordered, in some cases a long time ago, are slowly showing up. And some things came in very fast, but I'll show that in the next video or two. Where was I? Port and port wine and Madeira. You get Madeira from Portugal, real Madeira, because of course the island is of Madeira is Portuguese territory, and a lovely island if you have a chance to go there. Botanically fascinating. Well, you know, typical Englishman. Here we are, Graham's 2011. But here's the thing, I went to Portugal, to Porto, and had a lovely time there with some mates, and I did a course on port wine, a little compact course, but it taught me a lot about, you know, all the different kinds of ruby, tawny, you know, all kinds of different port wines, and how they're different here and how they're different there, and it's a universe of knowledge. I didn't find that Portuguese people are very, very pleasant, very gentle, thoughtful, kind, and I loved Portugal very much for that reason. I've been there several times, also to Lisbon. We've got beautiful beaches there, so I've been there several times for holidays. And I've always ate extremely well. Fantastic. Now here's the thing. You will see here, have to be careful not to knock those off the table, late bottled vintage. And I have realised that's the kind of port I like. And what is that? It's basically been aged a long time, like, for example, a tawny. It's not gone to the brown side, but it's been aged in oak for several years, and then it's filtered, because what I never liked about the vintage ports is the sediment, which can really pile up towards the end of the bottle, and I like it filtered. And so late bottled vintage, you get the advantage of both things. You are getting age in an oak barrel and all the richness of taste with that, but also it's filtered. So whenever I buy a bottle of port, it costs a bit more, but it's not extremely more, and some of the vintage ones cost far more. I look for LBV, late bottled vintage. So that's just one example, but you know, there's Taylor's, of course, and I went on a boat trip along the Douro River, and there's at least 50. I recognise about 20 of the port house names, but there are many that are not so well known to me, and which is great, because you can spend the rest of your life exploring those from time to time. Beautiful. Well, I've got a bottle of to make good port wine, you have to have excellent wine, and lesser known perhaps are that Portugal produces fantastic wines of their own right. Now, I went there once with a bunch of mates, in a wine club. So it was this one here. We actually did a team t-shirt, Schattenwein Club. That means the shady wine club, you know, which is what we were. And we all like Portuguese wine a lot. And so we went down there, and George, you can translate that. That says, I adore Portuguese wine. And we got through customs very, very quickly because of that. We were always wearing that when we were doing our wine tasting. And there are some fantastic types of grape down there, ones you don't find in the rest of Europe. We all know, you know, our Cabernets and our Pinot Noirs and our Rieslings, but you find in Portugal some really interesting old types of grape that are not so well known outside of Portugal. Touriga Nacional, for example, is a wonderful example. There's Tinta Barroca, there's Tinta Amarela, Touriga Franca, and most of those are Porto Douro Valley wines. Douro Valley is where the river is, and all the port houses for port wine are all on the sides of that river, but that's of course whole wine growing country in any case, and they are beautifully dark red wines. They are exquisite to look at, and beautiful bouquets, and rich, and I love it. There are of course other areas, the GAW area, there's the Alentejo area, there's the Algarve, there's of course Madeira as well, all producing these fantastic wines. Well, I used to work for this company here, German chemical company BASF, and this was a 150-year celebration, and one of the wines they selected for that very special occasion from their massive cellar was this one, which was Portuguese, of course. It's in this case a blend, so it's a mix of those different red wines. But that tells you something, you see, on the back. Exclusive BASF. It's not a chemical wine, by the way. This is real good wine. And let me tell you something about that. BASF had the third largest wine cellar in Europe. This was the top management of BASF were connoisseurs and gourmets, you know, and they wanted to have this excellence in the wine cellar. It was once said it's harder to get onto the board of the wine choosing committee of BASF than it is to get on to the board of management. So that tells you everything. And BASF actually own certain vineyards in the Pfalz area, which they call the Toscana of Germany, where they have some very good red wines as well. Maybe we'll make a video about that sometime. But they chose also wines from different countries and stored them in this massive cellar, which I actually got a chance to tour it because there was such a long waiting list. But this is one example. If they chose this for 150 years, BASF, it means the country produces absolutely first-class wines. And here I wanted to show you this Madeira 2003. It's a very special bottle, of course. It's 17 years old now, and I've been preserving that for a Christmas occasion or a special occasion. And that, of course, is also, I'm looking for it here, yes, you see it, on the island of Madeira. You see it? The island of Madeira, somewhere about there. This is written. And they produce absolutely beautiful Madeira. I love a drop of, it's like, you can take it instead of a port, or in a way you could take it instead of a sherry, but it's a delicious drink, Madeira, really it is. After dinner drink, or you can even maybe have it for apéro. So that's another rich history of Portugal, and I could talk for 2 hours here about all kinds of other things, but I just mentioned one more thing, because when I went to Porto and was looking around there, I'm someone who likes antique shops, and I like silver a lot, and anything that's silvery, sort of, I'm like one of those birds that would collect it and take it back to the nest. I can't keep my eye off it. And there were some brilliant, superb silversmiths in Porto, and this is a long old history of craftsmen who have been making fantastic silverware and silver decorations and candlesticks and all kinds of things for several hundred years. Portugal has, in fact, also a hallmarking system similar to Britain, and in fact, you may not know this, but Portuguese law is also a common law basis like we have in England, and for several hundred years, many hundred years, in fact, Britain and Portugal have been close friends, going back to the times of the Iberian Spanish Wars and Napoleon and so forth. But not only militarily, of course, we are a country that admires things Portuguese. But let me show you these beautiful boxes. Now, I bought them here from a jeweler in Basel, and they're little beautiful pill boxes, and this is one that my wife has. Look at the lacework, silverware, silver smithery, if you like, on that beautiful pill box. It's fantastic. Unfortunately, the silversmith in Basel had these in a drawer with 1972 prices and had forgot to update them, so I got them because the work alone on these is so exquisite. Here's one that I particularly liked. I do like an owl, so I took that one for me, and of course it's gilded inside, so it's gold plated inside on the silver. It just gives you a little tasting of the skill, because this is real skilled silver work. Beautiful, isn't it? And that's another reason for me that I would like to go back to Porto when possible. Well, that's just a smattering of the great things about Portugal. So, George, it was a great idea for a giveaway and a giveaway question, and my commendations to you, my friend. You do great videos. I love to watch them, and I can't wait to revisit some of these places where I've learned about all these things, because I'm sure there's a lot more that I will discover next time I go to Portugal. It begs the question, of course, I've got no idea what the answer is here. Is tobacco grown in Portugal? Because if they can do it in southern Germany and Switzerland, even some barley is grown, so there must be some tobacco grown down there. I don't know. Perhaps somebody knows the answer to that. In any case, congratulations, my dear friend, on your achievement, and I hope you get many more subs to come. Cheers, everybody, and I'll see you in another video in a few days. Take care, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.